You're listening to Lansdowne Roar Live, your Irish football news and nostalgia, where you, the fans, get to have your say. Nick filling in his anchor tonight, and I'm joined alongside Martin as we discuss Sammie Szmodics' link to Hungary, Evan's Ferguson Chelsea rumours, Kevin Zeffy's Roma move, and Irish interest at ACON. This plus much more on Lansdowne Road Live. Lansdowne Roar Live. I'm still getting used to it, Martin. I nearly said Green Machine. I kind of pulled myself back. The silent protest. No, Dave tonight. He his computer's broken. Dare we speculate?
Yep, we can't speculate on that. But and it's not definitely not.
We
been
can.
Seized. It's not
we certainly
seized.
can. We certainly can speculate, Martin. You weren't selling tickets off it, were you?
No, I wasn't. No, oh Jesus.
Yeah.
Imagine.
Jeez, that'd be a serious cleanup job, I think.
Yeah.
But no, David. He hopes to be back next week. He's he's borrowing his sister's laptop, isn't it? I think it's a Hello Kitty one. But but look, he misses everyone. But he doesn't love you like we do, does he, Martin? It's commitment to the cause. Second Lansdowne Roar Live of the year, and we're very, very excited to get into it. How have you been, Martin? Did you watch United Spurs earlier?
I did, yeah. Watched the United Spurs. It's all right. You know, it's a bit difficult being a United fan at the moment, but we're hoping Sir Jim's going to turn it all around, of course. But no, I mean, look, Keane watch is still quite entertaining, especially when they come up against Spurs. He's quite funny. I thought it was some nice little moments. I thought his tribute. I don't want to be a spoiler on it, but I thought it was a nice little kind of bit where he talks about Seamus Coleman and his kind of interaction with him over the years, and I think he just showed a lot of respect for Seamus and fair play. That's an amazing achievement for him today.
Yeah, just on that, Martin. So Seamus Coleman, of course, becoming Everton's most appeared. Well, that's not really the way to word it, is it? He most appearances for Everton in the Premier League. I'm off to a flying start here. So, look, I mean, where do we even start? He's still our national team captain. If you think about it, people will kind of forget about it. But an Everton legend, an Ireland legend. 60 grand he cost. What a career he's had with Everton over in Merseyside. I mean, record holder today. And the funny thing is, Martin, he probably would have had a lot more appearances if it wasn't for the horrendous leg break a few years ago. But talk us through Seamus. I mean, he's an Everton icon, an Ireland icon. And as you said, highest praise from the very top, including Roy Keane.
Well, as I said, you know, we are the most interactive Irish football podcast. I'll be interested to hear what everyone else's views as well on Seamus, because I don't think there's anyone who has a bad word to say about him. And he is our leader and legend, basically. And I know that's a bit, I don't really want to tar him with the kind of Chelsea thing that John Terry did. I think he's a lot better than that, though. He's a fantastic role model, Seamus Coleman. Any interaction Irish fans have ever had with him, or I've had with him as well, with regards to supporters, clubs, kids I've had at games with me and stuff. He's absolutely brilliant with them. And he's just kind of a humble Irish lad, really, and he's done well, and I think he's just a testament to him and his family and stuff. I know that's very cliche, but like, he's just so grounded and a decent lad,
a dying breed of footballer, really. Dying breed of professionalism, no flash.
And I think as well, he's embodied Everton really the last 15 years that he's been there. You know, he's absolutely brilliant. He done a fantastic tribute, Bill Kenwright, at the funeral recently, calling him Mr. Chairman and stuff. That's how he would have respectfully addressed him, of course. And I just think there's amazing tributes to him. Ultimately, it's a great achievement. I think the fact that Roy Keane said, you know, to be able to play at this level that long, you have to have something about you. You have to be a fighter, and that's what Seamus Coleman certainly is. And we're lucky to have him. And I know people will write him off as a player and stuff, but even to have him around the squad and things is really, really important. And it will be for our next manager coming in, that I think you have to have Seamus Coleman still involved at a kind of senior role. And eventually, you know, he says, doesn't he, he'll go back to Donegal and stuff like that. But, you know, I think Everton will be mad to keep him involved there. And you just see him, you know, even when he got that horrendous injury for Everton, you know, the fist pump is up to the fans, you know, keep the faith and keep it going. And he's absolutely brilliant. And I don't think you'll have anyone say a bad word about Seamus Coleman.
No, we won't see the likes of him again, really. You know, as I said, not just the footballing ability, but also the professionalism and the modest approach, let's say. And as Martin did mention, we are Irish football's most interactive fan podcast. So do, as always, have a say and leave your comments and get involved wherever you are listening or wherever you're watching us. So, Martin, you mentioned that it's difficult times to be a Man United fan, but it's a great time to be an Ireland fan, really, isn't it? We're about to lose another player by the looks of things. Well, if speculation is right, Obviously, a few reports going on, primarily from the Irish Examiner, that this man, Sammie Szmodics, looks set to train. Well, it doesn't look set to train, but is set to be approached to train with Hungary ahead of Europe 2024. So it does qualify for Hungary as well as ourselves. English born, of course. Has been called up, I think, 3 or 4 times to the senior Ireland squad, but is never featured. Of course, that story coming in the Irish Examiner, something that's raised a lot of alarm bells, particularly because he scored 19 goals this season, 3 assists as well. He's probably one of the informed players in England at the moment outside of the Premier League. I mean, he's having a phenomenal season, Martin. And I mean, it wasn't great to see that article go up from John Fallon earlier, was it?
No, but it probably is understandable that, you know, we've kind of made a bit of a mess of this. I think that, you know, he's been in squads. There's lots of speculation and rumours and things like that. And, you know, I personally think he was kind of biding his time, that he probably clashed a bit with Kenny, or was wanting assurances from Stephen Kenny that he was going to be involved. And, you know, he did make himself available. I know he pulled out of other squads and things like that, but and then this whole mystery, wasn't it? Oh, he can't be 10 days away. And then that did prove to be a genuine thing. It's interesting in the article, yes, they say there was a genuine personal issue, and I think it was his wife with the pregnancy and stuff. So you can understand that. And perhaps he was just seeing the writing on the wall for Stephen Kenny and thinking, look, I'm going to play my cards close to my chest here, and I'm going to, you know, take stock of it. I'll go away, fire it up as I am at club level. And he's proved that. He's actually got better than he was before he was going to, you know, linked with Ireland and stuff and called up to squads. He's actually having a better season now. He's actually in the form of his life, I would say. So he's definitely going to be on the radar of other teams that he qualifies for. And Hungary have got that little golden kind of chance there for him to be representative European competition. And I know lots of people will tell us that, you know, why, you know, people will say, oh, well, why are we waiting for him if he doesn't feel Irish? Why are we doing that? But we're not in that fortunate position, I don't think, to be able to do that ultimately.
I think you have to look around the world, Martin. Like I obviously I watch a lot of obscure football, and I was looking at some of the Asian Cup today. I was looking through some of the squads, and the Indonesian team, which is, I know we're going on down a very weird uncharted territory here, but they have a player called Sandy Walsh, Dutch born. Of course, he's of Irish descent. Could have played for us. It's kind of featured within the Belgian and Dutch leagues kind of in the past. He actually won a European Championship at underage level with the Netherlands when he was a young lad. But he qualified for about 5 different countries. And Indonesia did it. Obviously, there's a lot of Indonesians in the Netherlands, and they did a big recruitment drive. And they have Sandy Walsh playing for them and a few other guys. And I can't remember the other country. I was, they have a guy from Germany and playing for them. Like, I know that's a microcosm of a very small footballing nation, and I suppose drawing on what they can do. But as you said, Martin, like, our player pool is probably one of the weakest it's ever been. We've got snippets of quality players, but certainly not depth. You know, we certainly don't have depth. And I mean, if you have the top scorer in the championship eligible for you, I mean, the way I look at it is, Martin, I mean, he declared, he went through the process of getting his paperwork. If this is something that popped up on Teletext or CFAX, Martin, because you might know what Teletext is, you know, but CFAX, if this popped up on CFAX saying, oh, Hungary have approached Sammie Szmodics, if this happened 20 years ago, people mightn't have really said much about it publicly. It would have been talked down in the pub, wouldn't it? You know, that was kind of it. But I mean, the problem is now you've social media, you've Twitter. You're going to have a certain demographic of fans, especially in a very angry Ireland at the moment, who are going to look at this and say, well, fuck him, he wants to play for Hungary, and fuck him, he never wants to play for us, and he never turned up for us, and he can go fuck himself. Where the reality is, Martin, he did go through the process of transferring over. He did turn up to an international camp where he was called up late and subsequently had to withdraw, and that was genuine, and it's been proven to be genuine. So it's a worrying one, but you would hope that he ignores that kind of demographic of fans, let's say, because we've lost a lot of trust as Irish fans. I mean, Declan Rice, Jack Grealish, we won't go into it, but naturally, we always assume the worst. The same with Michael Obafemi. When he hit a bit of form for Swansea, he was withdrawn from squads. He wasn't named in squads. There was a lot of messing around. And it turns out that he was managing an injury. And I know it's probably not a player of the same quality, but if you look at Scott Hogan, when he was scoring loads of goals for Brentford, there were clamours to get him into the squad, wasn't there? Martin O'Neill wasn't calling him up for whatever reason. And it turned out that, first of all, he was having issues getting his passport. And then the second thing was, I think he had a very, very bad hamstring injury, and he was trying to manage that during the international windows. And eventually he came in and played for us. So sometimes there are genuine reasons with some of these players. It's not because they're holding out for England or Hungary or Nigeria or whoever. It's the fact that there are genuine reasons, and sometimes they just aren't included. I mean, Kenny didn't fancy Szmodics. I think he was open about that kind of last season, wasn't it? Before he was banging in the goals this season. But if you have top scorer in the championship, you certainly have to be going in from. I mean, it's all a bit strange, Martin, and I suppose what we don't want is that we'll regretfully look at it and think, Jesus, we should have capped this guy.
Yeah, I think that could be the case, though, because if he does go off to Hungary, he could do all right for them at that level at the Euros and stuff. But he's there; he'd have had that experience. And I think of other players who kind of got opportunities under Stephen Kenny. They weren't as kind of household names, even as Sammie Szmodics is, because he is the top scorer now. You've got to remember that. Like you said, Scott Hogan there as well. When they were scoring goals, we were in form. Even Will Keane probably doesn't get the respect that he should have for scoring goals at the level where most of our players do operate in the championship. But he actually is going out there week in, week out and scoring goals. So, that's just something you have to kind of remember. And it's just crazy that a player who's eligible hasn't had that opportunity in the last year. I would say it's just ridiculous, basically.
How many times can it happen, though, Martin? I mean, and because there's one thing about putting the onus on the player, but at the end of the day, Martin, a lot of countries are very aggressive about getting players to play for them. England are an example. Maybe not getting players from other countries who are eligible to play, but certainly securing players. They're aggressive about it, and they reap the rewards for it. So why does this keep happening? I mean, as I said, it happened with Ep15. I know he hasn't really hasn't kicked on for us, but it happened with Scott Hogan. It happened with Rice and Grealish. It happened with Michael Keane. It happened with a host of players. So why does this keep happening for us? And let's say, for example, it doesn't happen to the Welsh, who have a load of English-born players playing for them. And
I think there's a number of factors to it. I think it is like, and I know that Stephen Kenny and Keith Andrews wanted to do this. They wanted to bring in young players and make them feel part of it and make them feel very welcome into the Irish kind of community, as it were. And that was welcoming in the diaspora, like anyone who was second, third generation who qualified, bringing them in, making them feel Irish, making them. Now I know there'll be people going, well, what do you mean have to feel Irish? But just welcome them into that. We haven't always had that kind of embracing, kind of place for them, a safe place in a sense that they do feel part of it. So that I think is something that they did try and do. I think ultimately, though, where we are going to fall down is success. So Wales have been at tournaments more recently than us. England are regular, competitors at the tournaments. They're going to qualify. You're going to get opportunities. You're going to get high-profile friendly matches, even to kind of raise your profile as a professional, and perhaps help you with transfers and stuff. Whereas we have not got that. Like that's the fact of it. You're if you're setting your sights on playing for Ireland, when you have an opportunity to play for other teams like Germany or the Scandinavian teams as well, which we've had situations with them.
Yeah.
You are, you're counting on, they're going to hedge their bets. They're going to say, well, who's got the best chance of qualifying for tournaments here? And who can begrudge them that? It's not, everyone isn't the same as, that's just modern football now. And as well, the way the world operates, that you qualify for 2 or 3 different teams.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the other thing as well, Martin, is, football is very agent driven, isn't it? And I don't know who Sammie Szmodics' agent is, but you can't underestimate the power and the influence of agents who will be in a player's ear saying, well, if you play for this country or that country, you're going to have more commercial opportunities, you're going to have more sponsorship opportunities, and essentially it's making the agent more money, isn't it? So all these little things have to be taken into consideration. They exist in a world of negotiation and deals and huge money. So I think people need to bear that in mind as well. Now, are there more commercial opportunities for Sammie Szmodics playing for Hungary as opposed to Ireland? I don't know. I mean, they're going to European Championships. There's going to be benefits from that. They're going to be, I know it's a continental competition, but for the most part, the European Championships puts you on a world stage. And if you look at some championship players in the last few years, if you look at Ben Barton Diaz, if you look at Victor Groykers, they've gone on to play in European leagues. I mean, Diaz has come back to Sheffield Wednesday or Sheffield United, but he was with Villarreal, having played in the Championship. Victor Groykers was with Coventry, and he's gone off to Sporting Lisbon. He's playing European football. So all you need is Szmodics to be playing in the European Championships off the season of possibly being top scorer in the Championship or in and around the top scorers in the Championship, and then all of a sudden you might not have a Premier League team looking at him, but you might have, you know, a Sporting Lisbon or a Villarreal or whoever looking at him. You know, you can comment on his age. You might say, you know, he's going to be 29 this year, but at the same time, you know, we're looking to qualify for a World Cup in 2 years, aren't we, Martin? And at the end of the day, he'll be 31 at the end of that campaign, and that would be okay with most people. It's a shame though that this has kind of crept in, because this was kind of the lingering fear. It wasn't him going to England, but people were very aware of the Hungary link. But yeah, concerning.
I'm gonna be optimistic though. I think he will stay with Ireland. I think I'm hoping that it's the whole thing that he didn't really get along with Kenny.
Yeah,
he's hedged his bets. He's thinking, you know, I'll wait for the new manager. This isn't ending anyway positively for Stephen Kenny and the lads in the backroom staff. So I might as well just go away, do what I'm going to do for Blackburn. And he has done that. He's the name on everyone's lips now in the Championship. Yeah. So, you know, you got to remember as well, he'll be on a good contract, probably at Blackburn. But if they don't go up, you've got to remember that the other teams from the Championship who go up, or even the ones come down from the Premier League, they will be on the lookout, and he will be someone who's going to be worth having a punt on to score the goals to get you back up, or
they'll be looking at
in the Championship. You know? In the Premier League. So it's something for him to look at and consider.
But the thing is as well, Martin, like the Championship is one of the best leagues in Europe. I don't care what people say. It's packed with internationals. The standard is excellent, and he is the top scorer in that league. And the top scorer.
And the wages, though, the wages are decent in the Championship. We've got to remember that. Like the wages are decent.
The wages are good, but the other thing as well, Martin, he's playing for a very inconsistent Blackburn team, and he's scoring a lot of goals for them. So, I mean, that speaks volumes. When you're performing well as an individual in a very inconsistent team, it shows that you're a quality player, you know. Now, you would hope that maybe there's some kind of communication from Szmodics to either shut this down or to confirm that he is interested in playing for Hungary. One way or another, you want to know, because the longer we don't know, the more cynical fans will get. You know, the more cynical fans will get, and they'll say, well, we never wanted him anyway. And then all of a sudden we realize he was never interested in playing for Hungary. So that's kind of the danger. As I said, if this was 20 years ago and we were looking at this on teletext, you know, it might just fizzle away, where when Twitter is involved, when Instagram's involved, he's quite prevalent on social media. If he's looking at those things, which he may or may not be, you know, you just hope it doesn't influence him, you know, because there's been some awful things to Granny Road players, you know, just to keep that, in mind. All right. Sorry, I'm just picking up on something here. So, yeah, look, I suppose, Martin, we've kind of ignored it just a little bit, but big, I suppose we better get to it, shouldn't we? You know, our boys in green, to see how the lads got on over the weekend. So not a huge amount to report. I mean, if you want your nitty gritty details on the 17-year-olds who are playing for Forest Green Rovers, we're not going to have it, unfortunately. We're just going for the bog standard things that people actually give a shit about. So I mentioned him earlier. So we're starting off here with Scott Hogan, an assist for Birmingham City. They drew 2-2 with Swansea City. Gavin Bazunu, a clean sheet for Southampton in their 4-0 win against Sheffield Wednesday. Andy Moran got an assist for Sammie Szmodics, the Hungary international, his Blackburn Rovers side. Their 4-1 loss to West Brom. I think he missed that one, Martin, but it's all good. And Tyler Goodrum, a goal for Oxford United. They beat Carlisle United 3-1. Now, one man worth mentioning, because there wasn't much to mention this week, I suppose, Martin, is Will Keane. 2 goals for him. Preston, of course, who were unbeaten for a good portion of the season. They've struggled with a bit of inconsistency since. They beat Bristol City. Of course, Jason Knight's Bristol City 2-0. Keane's doing all right. I mean, I think that was goal number 8 this season.
Yeah, he's just consistent at that level, isn't he? And he's doing all right. And yeah, you know, he will be someone that surely the new manager, when he comes in, is going to look at. But, you know, we are surely as well, at the same time I say that, we're going to be building that team around Evan Ferguson. And, you know, Will Keane will be a backup to him, basically, if that's needed. And perhaps
he's just never done. He's never done it for us, really, has he? And
no.
I think history would be very different if his goal was allowed against Portugal, wouldn't it? But for the most part, he hasn't. He's a different type of player. Like, I mean, I remember when David McGoldrick retired, and he kind of, he declared years before, but he wasn't getting in the squad, and people said, well, he might come in because he actually has very good feet, you know, like he's technically quite good, but we probably don't see that when he's playing for Ireland, just the way that we kind of set up. But I mean, even looking at the championship top scorers, Martin, looking at the charts, of course, Sammie Szmodics is top of that. But then you have a few players kind of in the mix there. Aaron Connolly has 8 goals. Finn Azaz, who's recently joined Middlesbrough, he's got 7 goals. And then a couple of eligible players as well. I mean, Liam Delap, who is eligible, anyway. 7 goals for him. And then another player who apparently is eligible, Kieran Dewsbury Hall of Leicester City, 9 goals this season. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Tom Cannon maybe sneak up that as well. Another guy, a little bit like Szmodics, where there's a bit of mystery around, I suppose, what country he's going to play for. So, it'd be great for those 2 lads to really be in the mix when the new manager comes in a few weeks' time. I suppose, Martin, moving on from Obig, there's a number of transfers to kind of speak about. And I suppose we'll start off with a bit of transfer speculation. And, of course, involving this man, Evan Ferguson. So an article did go up in The Guardian last week linking Evan Ferguson with Chelsea, £100 million. So obviously a lot of speculation the last little while about Ferguson, a real meteoric rise over the last 12 months or so. Linked with Man United a little bit, linked with Spurs when Harry Kane left. The Chelsea rumours, Martin, what do you make of them? There's always going to be a bit of speculation around this man, isn't there?
Yeah, well, I hope it's not. I really hope it's not going to be Chelsea. No, that wouldn't go down very well with me at all. I mean, I'm hoping it's Man United, but I don't think he's going to go anywhere. I think he's got to just settle in. It's interesting. His manager has been quite clear, hasn't he? I don't think his head's been turned by this, but he probably, there's been such a rise to him. I think it's actually the anniversary of his first Premier League goal today, or it was recently.
And Arsenal, yeah.
He is going to be an absolute star. We know that. He is grounded. I believe that as well. He's done incredibly well for Ireland. Criminally, I think we haven't got the best out of him for Ireland yet, and weren't even looking to build the team around him, which I think we should have if we're going to give him opportunities, as he did have. We didn't find a way of playing to his strengths, and I think that's something the manager has to do coming in. I'm hoping he just settles down. Not that he's unsettled, but I hope he just really has a good crack at it with Brighton now. I think it's a safe club for him to be at. They're going to look after him. They're a stable club. They don't need to sell, more importantly, at the moment. Let him learn his trade there.
On that though, Martin, just on that, about looking after him. I mean, he had a bad injury last season, didn't he? I think it was the Achilles. And was it the Achilles or was it the ankle?
I think it was an ankle injury, yeah.
It was the ankle injury, yeah. And there was kind of arguments that De Zerbi was kind of managing that. He doesn't start every game, but we have to keep in mind, like, he's only a young lad, and you have to look after young lads. Wayne Rooney didn't play every single game for Everton. I think that's kind of worth noting as well. But there's been a lot of fans, let's say, not necessarily mainstream media, but a lot of fans who've kind of suggested that he'd probably get more game time at Chelsea. I'd be inclined to disagree a little bit with that. But there is the argument that he isn't, he probably isn't getting the minutes he wants at Brighton. But to be honest, I mean, from a footballing perspective, or from a player management perspective, Martin, the Brighton minutes might not look good on the surface, and De Zerbi's words a few weeks ago might not appear well to people on the surface, but we have to remember how young this guy is and how important it is to manage his development.
Well, certainly doing, and like if you think about him, if he went to Chelsea, who are expecting to qualify for the Champions League, so too Man United. You look at like Hovland and in at United, and the pressure on him, and like Roy Keane's talking about him, saying you need to see more from him, and his chances that he missed in the cup for Wigan. It just the kind of analysis of everything you do is just magnified at a top club. I'd rather him just stay at Brighton, play European football, which he's got there with them. Just start doing it week in, week out, get that consistency in the Premier League, stay fit, and then you'll get your big move. Earn your big move. He doesn't need to worry about anything at the moment. He's got people kind of backing him and shouting in his corner. Shearer's talking glowingly of him. He knows a thing or two about scoring goals, of course, in the Prem. He's got so much to learn, and I think he's just a very raw talent, but he's incredibly talented, and I think he's the most exciting player I think we've had since Robbie and Duffer, I would say. So you've really got to look after him, and I think Brighton's the safest place for him to be, and to learn and have that time without that pressure, in a sense. There's enough pressure to score in the Premier League, of course, but you're not expected to. You're not going to have every miss or misplaced pass analysed as much as it would be on, Sky every minute when they're looking at Man United and looking at, Rashford, what he does and how hard he works and whatever. You're not having that with Brighton at the moment. They're just not high profile enough. They're doing incredibly well, but they're not high profile enough as a Man United and a Chelsea and a Tottenham or wherever else. That's the thing. And in time, like, I'll drop in that we had the Liam Brady thing, of course, and thanks for everyone who's watched that on YouTube, on the YouTube channel. It's still there. But, we asked him about him, Ferguson, he's came through Kevin's boys as well, and he said, he'd love to see him go to Arsenal. And actually, that is, with Jesus, brilliant player, but he's not going to score them the goals to win the Premier League. And in 2 to 3 years' time, if Evan Ferguson was ready, he's going to be the one that they'll all want as their front centre forward, I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you mentioned Robbie Keane there, and I mean, he did his big move, didn't he? He went to Inter Milan, didn't quite work out, and then never really got a top move, did he? Apart from the Liverpool transfer, which didn't really work out. So all these things in context are very, very important. One man that did get a big move during the week was this man here, Kevin Zeffy, moving from Inter Milan to Jose Mourinho's Roma. That's a lovely jersey, isn't it?
It's nice. I like the we're gonna go for tangent now. I like the way that Adidas logo. I like it rather than saying Adidas below it. I think it's quite class. I bought a few bits myself with that. I think they're quite smart. And yeah, Roma. I mean, look, Jose does. I read up a little bit about this, and he has kind of given opportunities to some of these young players from Roma. So yeah, it's not a bad move. And I think we'll see. I mean, it will certainly not. If he gets an opportunity with Jose, he'll get what an education that will be. I mean, that guy's just still nuts, isn't he? I saw tonight he's been banned. He's had 3 touchline bans this season already.
Yeah.
Roma, head case.
That's Jose, that's Jose, isn't it? But yeah, some man to learn off. I mean, look, I'm always skeptical about some of these young players who we throw a huge amount of stock into. I mean, look, Zeffy was playing for Shamrock Rovers B team when he was about 15. And he's a phenomenal player, very technically good player. I don't know how well he's developed. I can't really remark on that. Inter Milan have a fantastic academy, but not the biggest progression rate. Some excellent graduates for sure. I mean, not a huge amount have really progressed. So there was always concerns with that. There was talk of him going to Newcastle again. Wouldn't have fancied that really, to be honest myself. Maybe I don't know, something where maybe he's going down to Serie B or maybe staying within Italy, developing, playing a bit of first team football. I don't know, but look, we'll see how he gets on. I just wonder how much he's progressed over the last couple of years. I mean, there's people who watch a little bit more of him, but he's certainly one to keep an eye on, and an interesting one. I mean, we don't usually have young Irish lads going from one Serie A team to another Serie A team, but I think back even to Ryan Nolan. He was the captain of Inter Milan, of their Primavera team. That's where Zeffy was. And I mean, I think he's playing in the Scottish 3rd division or something. No, he's not. He was. But I think he's playing in the Spanish 3rd division or something along those lines. So it just shows that the club a player can be at as a youth doesn't necessarily reflect where their career is going to go. But look, the best of luck to Kevin and fingers crossed that he does progress. And another man who's been linked with the Serie A move is Rocco Vada. Of course, of Celtic. He apparently held talks with Bologna earlier in the week. His contract does run out at the end of the season. And another very, very talented player like Zeffy, of Albanian heritage, but very much committed to Ireland. So it'll be interesting to see how the two lads get on, whether it be Serie A or elsewhere.
I do think they're a really good move. And we mentioned him earlier, Finn Azaz. I think that's a really good move for him.
Yeah.
He's been doing really well at Plymouth and stuff. And I think, him working under Carrick now, and they got a good result during the week as well in the League Cup, and I think he's cup tied for that though. I expect him to be, but
yeah, he is. Yeah,
still, that's a fantastic opportunity for him, and he's been doing really well. And for Carrick to pick you out, as Carrick was an amazing player. This is definitely turning into the Man United love in here, Nick. Dave will go mad when he listens back, but Carrick will know a good top quality midfielder, and he obviously sees something in him. So I think that's good for him, and I'd expect him definitely to be in the Ireland squad March, June, definitely.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, a very good player. I think Connor, if he lives in one of our riders. By the way, do check out our website. It's still thegreenmachinepodcast.com, but it will be changed over to Lansdowne Roar very, very soon. But do check out some of the articles that have gone up. We have a new editor, Connor, who's a Finn Azaz super fan.
I think he's just commented there. Finazaz is the greatest thing to ever happen to Irish football. So
I'd agree, yeah. Or Israeli football. We'll see anyway. Yeah. You know, he could do a Sammie on us. But no, but do check out the website. Connor's been doing some fantastic work. He's recently been installed as editor, and we have a great team of writers who have who've put some really, really great pieces together over the last few days. So do check them out. Right, Martin. I think it's very important because it's so relevant that we move on to AFCON. And why is it relevant? Because we had a bit of a mini Irish derby, should we say. So Ghana taking on Cape Verde Islands, and Cape Verde actually running out 2-1 winners. What's the relevance there, Martin, with the two teams in Ireland?
Well, definitely Chris Hughton, our esteemed...
our future manager.
I think, I'll come on to that in a minute. But tell me the other one.
Yeah, so Pico Lopez. I don't usually mention Shamrock Rovers players, but Pico Lopez, this is his second AFCON. Playing for Cape Verde. Did you ever hear the story about how he got called up, Martin?
No, go on.
So like very few international footballers or very few professional footballers, Pico Lopez has a LinkedIn, and he got a message in Portuguese thinking it was spam, so he ignored it. Turns out it was from the Cape Verde FA.
Nice.
And then a few days later, he got one in English, and he said, "Oh, I'll check this out," and he got in contact. So something he thought was a spam message was actually an international call-up.
Wow.
Probably happened to me. It's probably happened to me, Martin. I mean, I qualify for about 3 or 4 different countries, so I must check my LinkedIn. Haven't checked in a long time, so that's probably my only way into international football. But no, to be fair to him, he is an exposed player. I mean, so I do have to mention him a little bit. But no, it's great. It's second AFCON. They've after run out 2-1 winners. Chris Hughton going to be under serious pressure, isn't he? I mean, very controversial figure, I suppose, within Ghana. He's not very popular. Obviously, there's expectations there that mightn't be necessarily realistic, but a very strong team that they have, and it doesn't seem that he's getting the best out of them, does it?
No, he's under a lot of pressure there. He's not very popular, I don't think, with it. And I mean, I admire him for taking the job, and I think it was a bit of a thing, the legacy thing with the family and stuff. Like his dad's Ghanaian, and I think it was a nice thing for him to do. And I don't think it was about financially kind of pretty viable for him to do so. But I think he's a thoroughly decent guy, Chris Hughton, and I'm gonna pick this name off the floor, Nick. As you know, I sent a message to him to wish him good luck. He was a former honorary president of our supporters club in London. We actually arranged his testimonial in the Galtymore in Cricklewood many years ago. So he's always been a good friend of Rich London. He's been at previous events with us and stuff. So he's always stayed in contact, very supportive of the club, and, recognises the amazing support of Irish fans of himself. And even like when he was manager at different teams, everyone wanted him to do well because he's a good lad. And I wished him luck for the AFCON. I said he said thanks very much. And just I was trying to get the scoop, Nick, to be honest. As you know. But he just said, the expectation of the Ghana people and the media is kind of ridiculous. He goes, but we'll be giving a good crack and doing our best. And disappointing start for him tonight, sadly. I think
big time. Will it concern Ireland fans though? Because he seems to be in the mix, Martin. Look, people reckon it's going to be Lee Carsley, Anthony Barry, or Chris Hughton. It could end up being someone completely different. But would that concern you as an Ireland fan with those results?
No, it wouldn't at all, because it's African nations is mental. It's a mental competition. You see, I think even
thought you meant just a general, but just
no, it is just a mental competition in the football, and African football, how it's run and all that kind of stuff is just crazy as far as I know, my limited knowledge of it. But what you see and the media coverage of it, and you think back to when Ali Boyle was going off there, and remember that the shooting time. Remember that?
Yeah.
That was just crazy.
Toga team.
Yeah.
Togi.
And
Jesus.
But I think Connor's given a message there again that Man United Bebe was up front for Cape Verde tonight. I mean, geez, that's another one. But look, we're seeing some comments coming through that Hughton's just lost and stuff. The man's past it. He's working with. All right, there might be kind of legends in Ghana football and stuff, but Ghana aren't a massive country, are they? I don't think footballing nation as much. I wouldn't think so. I mean,
I think they're pretty big into it. Yeah, no, I think they're pretty big into it. I'd say
they wouldn't have been one of the favourites to win this tournament. No, I think they.
I think based on form, they wouldn't have been like they're a very strong squad, but I think based on form, they probably wouldn't have
passed it as far as I know. Yeah. And I don't think I can. I'm just reading comments as well. Sorry, I'm just seeing it come through. Like, yeah, he's a nice guy, but No, I think it's set up perfectly, though, in a way, for Chris Hughton to be the Irish manager. And the reason for that is, I think it's his age. I think he's a safe pair of hands. I know that is quoting Liam Brady in a sense, but because he thought Brian Kerr would be a safe pair of hands. And I think that's what we probably need a little bit now. We do need someone who can perhaps grind out results. The football might not be the most prettiest at times, but I think they will have an opportunity to Ireland's squad at the moment. If they are, I think Kenny made lots of mistakes tactically, and to be fair, the backroom staff as well, the support as well. I wouldn't just blame Kenny. They were slow making changes within games and stuff. And I think if you're set up correctly, that quality of player that we do have, and we do have good enough players.
Yeah. I think it's all around.
Be competitive.
It's all around it's all about the backroom team with Hughton and who he brings in, and if you have a contemporary coach. Just another one, Martin. So the Asian Cup is on as well, and I found a fixture here that has a couple of another Irish derby. So UAE taking on Hong Kong in the Asian Cup opener. Actually, let me rephrase. Not the opener at all. So UAE taking on Hong Kong in Asian Cup Group C. This is our little Irish derby. So we spoke about Ghana versus Cape Verde. So that was the two Irish connections. Will I give you the two Irish connections here?
Yeah, go on.
So Hong Kong, they had a guy on the bench called Sean Say. So TSE, Sean Say. I looked up the pronunciation, Martin, and that's apparently how it is. So he was a youth with Manchester City, and he was called up to a couple of Ireland underage squads, I think at under 17 level. Now, he was never capped, but nonetheless, he was involved with the squads. So he was on the bench for Hong Kong, didn't get off the bench, unfortunately. And the UAE, look, there's just loads of Irish people there, so that's the link. So yeah, we'll claim that. Yeah, we'll claim that. So an Irish derby in AFCON and an Irish derby in the Asian Cup. We're everywhere. We're absolutely everywhere.
I think though, just back onto the Chris Hughton thing though, I think it's telling. I think that they've said even with Sammie Szmodics article today that they're expecting to announce the manager in 2 weeks' time.
2 weeks,
Ghana will probably be out of this by then, or and then I think they've waited. I think if it was going to be Carsley, I don't see what the delay would be. Really, I think it would be announced 2 weeks' time. Probably it'd be announced. We need to have it before the draw of the Nations League, which is the 8th of February. I think it's certainly between those two. I can't see him going with Barry. I think 37. I can't see him going into management at this time.
Yeah.
Unless you go like you were saying, like Big Sam, Steve Bruce, Harry Redknapp. I seen was linked with it today and came into favoritism at one stage. But it is an attractive job. But it's a bit of a jolly up job. When you're saying Harry Redknapp and you're putting Sam Allardyce into it, it's a little bit of a jolly up job for the boys. Kind of, you might as well have Brown. Remember, he used to be, what was his name? Brown with
Phil Brown.
Might as well put him in the
put him in Paul McShane.
Kind of caliber. It's that kind of caliber of thing. But I want someone who's going to know Irish football, which I think Chris Hughton would know. Carsley, to me, to be honest, would be my first choice, but I think it's just not happening at the moment, and I think he might be the one to step in a few years' time. Let Chris Hughton perhaps have a crack, might be what they're thinking. An older kind of person who will handle the media, because I think that's what we have to do. Bring in young coaches with him, even if, like John O'Shea, it's interesting again today. He's left by mutual consent now. Birmingham followed Rooney out the door. Tony Mowbray got the job there and said that he did try and persuade him to stay, but his aspirations are apparently management. So you could see, I don't know if that is genuine or not, that it's management. I can't see where he'd go management wise yet, but unless he's hearing something going on at kind of championship, lower level as a first introduction job. But, I wouldn't have any problem with John O'Shea coming back there. And I know there are people say, well, he was part of the Kenny thing. He came in very late to that, and I thought he was actually quite good. I wouldn't tar him with that brush at all.
Yeah, I think it'd be a little bit early for O'Shea, and I think he needs to cut his teeth somewhere else. But look at Rob Page. I mean, Rob Page with Wales might be a similar kind of thing. Just conscious of the time there, Martin. We're going to move it on to the comments. So we're going to start off here with I'm a Mime. Is it between Carsley and Hughton? I suppose we've discussed that a little bit. It seems to be. It's hard to kind of know at this stage. Comment here from Tony Flaherty. Keep him around. I think this is in relation to Coleman. Keep him around. Why? What does he do? Tell jokes? Does he do magic tricks? Keep him around for what? I think it's kind of the leadership element there, Tony.
Is that not the quote from? Is that not? Is that Roy Keane?
Roy Keane, possibly. Yeah. No, I get that as well. I mean, I question these kind of keeping players around and that kind of thing. But I think Seamus has a good head and the shoulders, and it looks like he's going to go into coaching. There's been talk of that, hasn't there? So be an interesting one to see. Comment here from Eddie O'Byrne. It took him so long to get his Irish passport. This is in relation to Sammie Szmodics. It's a drawn-out process. Would it not be the same to get one sorted for Hungary? Absolutely. I would agree on that, Martin. Like, surely no chance he'd have it for a potential Euro squad spot. He nailed his colours to the mast in the December paper interview, even Bain-dropping Hungary, and that he has no interest. I think that speaks volumes, Martin, and I think we have to realise as well, if he was to switch to Hungary, it would be a bit of a process. So I think people need to kind of realise that. Like, it's to train with Hungary. It's not necessarily to be in the Hungary squad. So I think that's another important element of that article, is to train with them. You know, he wouldn't be able to play a game. Sean Whelan, no sound. Seems that that's been rectified. And comment here from I'm in Mind. The FAI have to be the most inept football organisation around. Irish football is laughable at the moment. At the moment. Only at the moment. And I'm in Mind. The internet was right about Grealish and Rice. Another comment here from I'm in Mind. So Tom Cannon should not be mentioned. He's jumped ship. Well, I'd love to hear your source, I'm in Mind, because as far as I'm concerned, he's still making his mind up. He's not committed to one or the other. Comment here from Shane Brown. Hi, lads. A happy new year. Would hate to see Evan leave for another 2 years and then go to United. Connor, good friend of the podcast. So Finn Azaz is the greatest thing to ever happen to Irish football. I'd argue that Joe LaPera probably is. So anyway, I'm a mime. Connor, another one Kenny didn't cap.
Very true, yeah.
And Connor again, so this is in relation to our AFCON derby. So non-Irish related, but if you remember Man United legend Bebe, he was up front for Cape Verde tonight. Unbelievable that. Bebe was homeless, wasn't he? I think he was homeless for some period of his life before he went to Man United. So it's unbelievable to see a player like that. Jeez, he must be a decent age now, I'd say.
Jeez, yeah, like, I heard lots of speculation about that deal, and yeah, doesn't reflect very well on certain legends at Man United. Of what I'd heard the stories of that, of different, like, you know, cashback deals and all sorts.
Yeah, strange one that at the time. Comment from Shane Brown. Have you confirmed the FAI are not sending Sammie Szmodics a call up in Portuguese? Can't think of any reason he's not getting them. Yeah, maybe it's gone to spam on his LinkedIn. Comment here from Johnny. Unite has Houghton's Ghana just lost to Cape Verde. The man has passed it. And another comment here from I'm in Mind. Chris Hughton being a nice guy is not a credential for the job. Shame on you, Martin. You're worse than Hitler.
Oh God.
Connor, look at the state of the this is in relation to the Cape Verde Ghana game. Look at the stats from tonight. Cape Verde didn't score 2 lucky goals in the counter. I'd be very, very worried if it was Chris. Blue and gold, they beat us anyway, probably in relation to Ghana. Yeah, Ghana probably will beat us, wouldn't they? Under Chris Hughton and everything. I'm a mime. That's it. Brady thinks he's a good fit. That should tell you everything. So that's in relation to Evan Ferguson being a good fit for Arsenal. Do check out that video on our YouTube channel.
No, I think that's actually in relation to me saying Brady said Chris Hughton would be a good fit for Ireland. And that should tell you anything. He doesn't want Chris Hughton. Yeah, like, I think the context of that, though, again, go and watch the interview, because we were just obviously asking, is it an attractive job, and does he think, you know, who does he think is linked to it? I mean, I asked him to kind of clarify his Brian Kerr comments, and I wouldn't want to see Brian Kerr back near it, to be honest. But Chris Hughton, I think, has got the profile. But yeah, look, we're still in the dark. And what I would say is, and we've spoken about this a little bit, haven't we, on different chats, Nick, you know, the FAI are keeping their cards close to their chest. I've seen some off the ball stuff during the week. Dan McDonnell, with all his contacts, he doesn't seem to know what's going on as well. So it's just very quiet and under the radar at the moment. But look, as Irish fans, and we're all supporters of the team, I think we will see. It will be exciting now in the next few weeks. We will have this speculation put to bed, and will be a big kind of media story for a while, I suppose, when the new manager's announced. Then we'll have the 8th of February with the new games qualifiers for the Nations League being announced as well. So get his teeth into them March games. It'll be interesting, and we'll have all the chat and speculation on here, Nick, of Finn Azaz being in the squad. Sammie Szmodics has now gone on trained with Hungary, and that's it.
And Tom Cannon's playing for Carsley with England.
Yeah,
great time to be an Ireland fan. Another comment here from Shane Brown. Would love to see Carsley with Stephen Reid as an assistant. That's certainly a shout. Very well accomplished assistant Stephen Reid. Connor, how about we take Carsley as manager and Houghton as assistant to keep Martin happy? And then Connor again, 100% from what I'm hearing, that's the Sammie article is his agent pushing the FAI into making sure he's called up in March. And to be fair to Connor, that is a man who is very well connected. So, you wouldn't be surprised about that. As you said, the game is agent driven. And for the most part, like I don't think Szmodics can play for Hungary in the summer, regardless. So it's an unusual one. I just hope the fans are kind of privy to some of the finer details. So just an interesting one.
Just to come in on there as well, like, we don't know what's going on with agents and football. And I want to push people again to read the articles that we have on our website, because there's a brilliant one of the 3 Irish players who should get there, who should be looking for a move. Obafemi, Omar Bamadeli. God, I nearly messed it up there. I nearly was cursed by you two. And the third one, I can't remember the third one. Who's the third one?
Say again, Martin. Sorry, it was just
who was the third player who should get the transfer, who looks to get a transfer move?
Mikey Johnson.
Mikey Johnson, that's it. Really good article, and it's very true. I mean, Omar Bamadeli is mystifying that move completely. And Nottingham Forest, I think, actually, a bit of breaking is that they're being looked at financial fair play now, breaking rules with that as well.
They've signed about 3 teams.
Yeah, exactly. But he's not had a look in, and it's just weird. And you just don't know what's going on in the background. You seriously don't know what's going on in footballers' lives, and agents pushing and getting that move. It's a big money deal. He's probably got a big sign-on fee. And I'm not saying this is Omar Bamadeli, but some players would have their heads turned by, I'll go there for 6 months. They're buying everyone. I'm now a Premier League player. I might not even play, but I'll get out of there in 6 months or a year. My agent will get me out of there. I'm young enough. I've got the profile. And yet I've made £500,000 for sign-on fee. That happens in football all the time.
It does, yeah. And people have to realize that as well. Yeah. It's as we keep saying, Martin, it's very agent-driven, and it can be a very greedy game. So, look, 3 lads that definitely need a move, but do check out that article on the website. I'm going to pop it up here. So it's the greenmachinepodcast.com. So even though we're Lansdowne Roar now, it's still down as a Green Machine podcast. So do check out a lot of the great work that Connor and the lads are doing with the articles. So we are going to leave it there, Martin. We will be back next Sunday at the same time. Hopefully David will be back using his sister's Hello Kitty laptop, and hopefully I won't be anchoring, because in case you haven't noticed, I've struggled tonight, Martin.
No,
I'm on my game. I'm not the
super.
I'm not the Stephen Hunt super sub I thought I'd be, but look, it's all good. I'll just have to live with it. I'll just have to live with it.
Exactly, thanks everyone for your interaction, and do subscribe. We'll get in trouble if we don't say that. Subscribe
absolutely, yeah. Yeah, so absolutely. So wherever you're listening to your podcast, do hit that subscribe button. It helps us out greatly. If you're listening to us on the website, we're available on most podcast platforms, most notably Spotify and Apple. And of course, we are trying to get the YouTube channel up and going. So do subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm going to pop it up here just for any of the audio listeners. It's youtube.com/@LansdowneRoad-GM, which is a bit of a mouthful, but look, that is David's work. And I just want to read out one last comment before we go. JC, I don't want to upset anyone, but is this a much better show without the third guy trying to be funny all the time? Oh, Jesus, I didn't know that was coming out. JC.
And also, well, I don't know who JC is.
I think it could be JD.
Okay, I did upset a JC in the past, if you remember.
Right,
some of our older listeners might know that, but it can't be him. It can't be him.
You certainly did, but I mean, I think that JC be complaining that you're on the show, Martin. So it's probably not the same one, There we go.
And that JC wouldn't like me holding up my my famous blue shirt. So.
I don't know how you got that, Martin. It was a very popular shirt, and it sold out very, very quickly. But as you said, oh, let's not go there so you don't get sued. So look, we're going to leave it there. As you said, subscribe wherever you listen to the podcast. Subscribe on YouTube. And as always, be sure to have your say on our social media interactions throughout the week. So until next week, all the best and take care.